Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel, and in today's video we're doing something a few viewers have requested now. I'm going to give you a tour underneath the bonnet of a P3 Volvo. So I'll just preface this by saying basically this is a D5 Volvo with the 205 brake horsepower engine, twin turbo, 5-cylinder diesel, and yeah, we're going to be giving you a tour, explaining what things do, so you guys know. You're going to have to excuse the rubbish over there. We're having a load of new windows replaced, so all the waste is going over there, so it's a bit of an eyesore, but it's actually removed the space from the driveway as well, so we've got cars stacked up, we've got one around the corner. But yeah, let's get into the video. So this comes as sort of after I announced my new series that's going to be happening, which is sort of teaching you guys all about how to maintain cars, etc, etc. Now this isn't actually part of that series, but it's sort of a good shoehorn in. So yeah, let's get into it. So we start off here with the air filter housing. Now what this does is essentially filters the air that comes into the car. It's the housing that holds the filter. So if you were to remove the top of this housing, you'd see a filter, you'd see a pipe coming in underneath the bottom. Now obviously this isn't standard, this is for the light system, but this is the air intake here that is about here. So that's useful to know if you're ever going through floodwater, that on these you have quite a high air intake. Now what that does is it brings the air up through here, it gets filtered and goes in through the, we'll remove the cover for ease, basically feeds air into the turbo and the engine, etc. So that's a nice easy one to start off with. We've then got our power steering reservoir here. Now this contains the power steering fluid, which obviously allows the car to use power steering to turn the wheels. We've then got our coolant bottle here with this lovely fresh new coolant in it. We then have our fuse box here, which has obviously got all the fuses for the car. It's one of about 3 on this car so far, and also we've got our battery box here. We've then got obviously the engine itself. Now these are the fuel rails that inject fuel into the cylinders. We also have the intake manifold, everything here as well, that regulates the air and fuel mixtures and everything like that. We then have also our spark plugs are integrated into these injectors as well, sorry, the glow plugs even. So we've got all that as well. We've got our fuel rail down the bottom of here, which the fuel sprays into and comes up and goes into the cylinders. It's nice and easy. We've also got our fuel filler cap, sorry, the oil filler cap there. I'm getting all these words mixed up today, aren't I? We've then got our oil filter housing. Now this is the housing that contains the oil filter, which comes up in here. So you remove this to change it, and what that does is obviously filter the oil, keeps it nice and clean for the engine. We've then got below that our alternator, which is a bit annoyingly placed, because when you change the oil filter you can quite often drip oil into the alternator, which you don't really want. But the alternator charges the battery, runs off the engine via a belt, and it will run the battery, charge the battery. Also provides electrical current for other parts of the car as well. Here we then have our main cam belt, which is underneath here. You can see it if I come around. No, it's not that visible, luckily. It's down in there, and what that does, obviously, it keeps the timing of the engine and everything like that as well. Got various radiator hoses, obviously the big radiator with the fan here, and below that we've also got an intercooler, which is that pipe there, which cools the air that goes into the turbo so that the turbo becomes more efficient. We've then got stuff on the front of the engine like the EGR as well, which cleans the exhaust gas and feeds it back through the engine to burn off excess soot, which is just better for the environment. We've then got here the upper engine torque mounts and our refrigerant hose for the air conditioning, which way you put the gas in. We've then got our brake fluid reservoir, which is here underneath this boxy thing here, and again that is filled with brake fluid to allow for brake boosting capabilities. We've then down in the back here, got our turbos. On this car, it's the twin turbo, so it's essentially two turbos welded together that give sort of a quick spooling small turbo and a big turbo to give you that linear performance. You don't really have any much turbo lag or anything like that. And then on this car, we've also got all our dipstick and everything as well that I've fitted. In terms of the more intricate details, we've got our mass airflow sensor here, which basically measures the flow of air into the engine. We've also got our intake manifold pressure sensor there as well, which does exactly what it says on the tin. We've also, it's just, as you can see, there's all sorts of sensors and electrical bits, and I'm not going to go into massive detail about all of that because most people don't need to know. Yeah, that is pretty much it in terms of a basic what everything does underneath here. We've also got our washer bottle filler, of course, and yeah, that's it really. This is obviously the engine cover, and you'll be amazed at the amount of sound that this insulates from the outside. This makes such a difference when it's on. The engine becomes so much more quiet, so that's something again that you need, otherwise it makes the car very loud and very sort of typical old clackery diesel. So yeah, that's a very welcome sign. You may notice here that I've got a bit of oil on here, and what this is, it's the turbo oil feed return line. Now what this is doing is returning oil from the turbo back into the engine, and as you can see, very slightly it's seeping oil. Now it's not noticeable to the point where I'm having to refill the oil, so at the moment I'm not too worried about it at all. These are quite common with older engines that you get this sort of thing, so if you've got it on your car, don't be too concerned. What I would say is clean up the messy bit down here, and just monitor how long it takes to get absolutely filthy again. I did it probably about 6 months ago, and as you can see, it's just starting to come back, but it's not anything major, so I'm not concerned about it at all. So yeah, that's it guys, thanks so much for watching. It's just a quick little tour on various bits under the bonnet as requested by you guys. I'll go into more in-depth one later on, perhaps next year, but yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.